Hey everyone, Jake Brown with Visit South Bend, Mishawaka. I am joined today by Chris Vandenbosch from the Bike Mechanical Coalition. First of all, Chris, thanks for joining us today. How have you been as we all kind of navigate coronavirus together?
I'm doing fine.
Great. Well, so we're going to kind of talk a little biking today. Obviously, May is National Bike Month, and we live in a community that really embraces the bicycling community. Just from your perspective, with the Bike Mechanical Coalition, what kind of place is this for cycling enthusiasts?
Well, it's a great place for cycling. Our trail network keeps getting better and better. Fortunately, in spite of the various restrictions we're under right now, the progress is going ahead on new construction to complete networks. You can go all the way from Niles, Michigan to Mishawaka now by trails.
What are some of your favorite rides, favorite places, on a sunny spring day like today, where you can get out and cruise around?
The trail going up the Niles is wonderful. I live on the northwest side of South Bend, so I'm pretty comfortable riding on roads as well. So one of my favorite things to do is to ride up to Niles on the west side of the river on country roads, and then to take the trail all the way back down the east side of the river. So that's a great one, but also riding through over to Mishawaka if you want to do trails is great. The Riverside Trail, I live right by it. People are on it all the time. Yeah. That's a great place to ride. And of course it connects again with several trails, with more possible connections coming in the next couple of years.
What are some recommendations you have maybe for someone who hasn't ridden in a long time or just wants to get back into it as something to do in these warm temperatures to be prepared before they hit the trails?
Yeah, well, I guess the number one thing on my mind is I really recommend getting a bike helmet. I've seen a lot more people on the trails, which is great, but a lot of them don't have helmets. And I think because we're having a lot of new riders who haven't been out for a while, they may be not used to that. And grown-ups need them too. Sometimes you see children, but the parents don't have helmets, but the parents have further to fall to hit the ground. So if they do fall, they're actually perhaps more likely to be injured. You can get very inexpensive helmets. They still have to meet the same safety standards as the others. Otherwise, also obviously make sure your bike's in good, safe condition. Your tires have the right amount of air in them. You don't have to fill it to the max, just to the minimum, but make sure there's plenty of air. Make sure your brakes are working well.
When you're sizing up a bike for yourself, I know there's a ton of options, all kinds of price points. How do you sort of evaluate that?
Well, I mean, again, if you go to a bike shop, they're real pros at doing that, and they'll help you size that. There are a number of, if you search online, you can find a number of resources that will give you a fairly precise way of measuring, especially if you're going to get a more expensive type road bike. Those are measured in centimeters as opposed to just small, medium, large. But the bottom line is that what you want in terms of, and this would apply to somebody who's maybe, again, pulling a bike out of their garage as well as somebody buying a new bike, is you want to be able to sit on your seat, and when your leg is just nice and comfortably on the top of the pedal, there should be very little, your leg should be mostly straight with just the tiniest bit of bend in your knee. We see a lot of people who have their saddles too low. If you can sit on your seat and put both of your feet down on either side, your saddle is too low, and it's making your legs have to work much harder than they need to work. So sometimes people feel a little uncomfortable with the saddle up higher, but you're going to have a better experience when you're actually riding if you have the saddle up.
Well, Chris, this has been great information. I really appreciate you joining us. You can find out more about some of the best bike trails in our community on visitsouthbend.com. And I hope you enjoy the trails as we embrace this warm weather.
You too. I'll be out there.